People often say terrifying things come into our lives quietly, not with a scream, but with a whisper, a shadow, a giggle, or a single ring of a phone. I never believed that, until the night 5 strange events came together and showed me that fear sometimes follows you home. It began at a bar, in a noise-filled room, and ended beside a payphone in the coldest hour of morning. But let me start at the beginning. The first warning: the giggle in the dark. A friend dragged me out one evening for live music at a nearby bar. It was crowded, loud, warm, and full of people trying to forget their lives for a few hours. We drank, laughed, talked, and somewhere between the jokes and the neon lights, I realized my phone wasn't in my pocket. I wasn't deeply worried. People misplace phones all the time. I checked the table, the bar counter, the washroom, nothing. Finally, I borrowed my friend's phone and dialed my number. It rang twice. Then someone picked up. At first there was complete silence. Then, a low, rough giggle, the kind of giggle someone makes when they're standing too close behind you. Before I could speak, the call cut off. I tried again. No one answered. Eventually, I gave up. We stayed at the bar another hour before heading home. I walked into my room, switched on the lamp, and there it was. My phone was lying neatly on my nightstand. Not dropped. Not tossed. Perfectly placed, screen facing up, exactly where I always kept it before leaving the house. There was no missed call on the screen. No record of any incoming call. Only the memory of that giggle stayed with me, as if someone was laughing in a room I couldn't see. The second warning: the empty school bus. When I was younger, I was always the last kid picked up in the mornings for school. One winter morning, I stood alone at the stop, breath fogging the air, waiting. A bus rolled up, but it was empty. No children. No backpacks. No noise. Just a driver with a strange smile. He opened the door and said, "Hop in, kid. You're early today." Something inside me tightened. A whisper, maybe instinct, maybe fear, said, "Don't." I asked, "Where is everyone else? Where's the route?" The man didn't blink. "We'll pick them after you. Come on. Don't waste time." He wasn't shouting. He wasn't threatening. But his voice felt wrong, flat, like he was reading words someone else wrote for him. Every few seconds he grew more insistent. "Get inside. We are running late. Stop asking questions." I stepped backward. "No, thank you," I said. His smile vanished. He shut the doors and drove away without a wave. 2 minutes later, the real school bus came, filled with noisy kids. I told my parents that night. They panicked, calls were made, neighbors alerted, but nothing was found. No driver was reported missing. No bus was en route. Some things happen once, and never leave your memory again. The third warning: the woman next door. Years later, I moved into an apartment owned by a friend. It was freshly painted, newly floored, and quiet, too quiet. The only strange thing was the woman in the flat beside mine. She looked older than her age, eyes always wide, like she was seeing things that didn't belong to this world. Every night she blasted religious radio programs, arguing loudly with someone who never replied. One night, unable to sleep, I knocked on her door. For a moment, she just stared at me. Her pupils were huge, unfocused. Then she stepped aside slightly, and I accidentally glanced inside. The walls were covered, not decorated, but covered, with painted crosses, scribbles of angels, words like "saved" and "protect me" written in layers. The windows were brushed entirely black. The carpet looked ancient, stained, soggy. The smell of rot crawled out into the hallway. She didn't talk to me. She just closed the door and turned the radio volume even higher. That night my girlfriend slept over. In the middle of darkness, I woke up to the shape of a person standing beside our bed. At first, I thought it was a dream. A figure, female, unmoving. Then she spoke. "You should lock your doors at night." It was her, the neighbor. She held something long and thin in her hand. In the half-light I thought it was a knife. Later, I realized it was a power drill. She walked out calmly, as if she had every right to be there. The next morning she sat under my window murmuring in a language I had never heard, holding a plastic bag. The contents had rotted. The smell hit me even upstairs. Her dog, the one she claimed had run away, was inside the bag. When I asked another neighbor, he whispered that she had also broken into his apartment, standing behind his sofa while he watched TV with his kids. He saw the drill too. The police knew all about her. She was mentally unstable, off her medication, but legally they couldn't enter her apartment unless she stepped outside. So I waited. At 2 a.m. she finally left for cigarettes. The police arrived in under 2 minutes and took her away in a van. They told me she wouldn't be back. But I still dream of waking up and seeing her silhouette by my bed. The fourth warning. The man on my mother's bike a few months after the neighbor incident. I worked a late shift in an industrial district. Near midnight, someone hurled a heavy rock through our front window. There were no other buildings open, no people walking around, just the empty night. Freaked out, I called security and rushed to my car. Only when I was halfway home did I realize I never unlocked it. It had been open the whole time. The back door was slightly ajar. I checked. No one was inside. At least, that's what I told myself. Later that night, wanting to calm my nerves, I rode my bicycle to meet a friend. It was a peaceful ride under the moonlight until I heard another bicycle behind me. Slow. Steady. Too close. The rider pulled up beside me and smiled. It was a smile that didn't fit a human face. Wide, twitchy, unsettling. Something stretched and wrong. Then I recognized the bicycle. It was my mother's. The stranger pedaled away into the dark. I turned back immediately, pedaling harder than I ever had. When I reached home, my mother's bike was gone and my car door, the back one I hadn't opened, was hanging open. Something had been in the car. Something had taken the bike. Something had followed me. And I hadn't noticed until it was inches from me on the road. The fifth warning. The payphone that knew my name. My last warning came when I worked the night shift at a lonely campground. My coworker told me a strange detail on my first week. That payphone outside rings every night at 4:17. Only once. Don't answer it. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. In August, when I kept the window open, I heard it with my own ears. 4:17 a.m. A single ring. Exactly once. Every night. Never more, never less. Finally, curiosity won. One night I stood beside the phone and waited. At 4:17, it rang. I picked it up. Nothing. Just air. Like someone was listening, breathing, but refusing to speak. I answered every night for a week, same result. I stopped. But in October, something made me try again. This time, after the long silence, I heard a faint inhale, like teeth clenched around breath. Then a voice. Rough. Deep. Crushed gravel in its tone. It spoke my full name. First. Middle. Last. I had never heard the voice before. I hung up immediately, shaking. I used the phone to trace the last call. It came from a number in California. I lived in Indiana. There was no reason for anyone there to know my name. But something did. Something that called only once. Only at 4:17. Only on that payphone. The night they came together, I didn't notice the pattern until much later. 5 strange events, each worse than the last, like warnings stacking on top of each other. The giggle on the phone. The empty school bus. The neighbor watching me sleep. The man on my mother's bike. The payphone calling my name. All threads leading to one moment. A message whispered through 5 different nights. You are being watched. And maybe you are, too. Some warnings come quietly. Some arrive as a smile from a stranger. Some break into your house. Some know your name. But none of them, ever really go away. Not when the door closes. Not when the phone stops ringing. Not when you move to another city. Because when the night grows still, and a faint sound breaks the silence, a giggle, a whisper, a ring, you will remember this story. And you will wonder, is it your turn now? This was Midnight Whispers. If this story gave you chills tonight, subscribe, and let the next whisper find you.